I curse you today, King Onochie. Your daughter shall grow into a woman, but whenever she dress, no matter how she cover her body and look decent, she will always appear half naked in the eyes of the people. And this shall bring disgrace to your throne. Your reign shall be remembered as a disgraceful one, and so shall it be.
Once upon a time, in the prosperous kingdom of Amoje, King Onochie was known as a noble king. He was known for being impartial in his judgment. But the mistake he made years ago, an incident that he had already forgotten, something that happened when he was much younger, a curse placed on him years ago, began to have effect on his beloved daughter, the princess. On that fateful evening, as King Onochie crossed paths with an old beggar woman, her tattered clothes betraying the hardships she had endured, with a trembling hand, she reached out to the king. But instead of extending a hand of compassion, King Onochie's words cut through the silence like a blade. He said to the beggar, "Is that why you look half naked? Even in poverty, one must maintain a semblance of dignity. Get out of my sight and trouble me no further." With a heavy heart, the beggar was disappointed. With anger, she placed a curse on the king. She said,
I curse you today, King Onochie. Your daughter shall grow into a woman, but whenever she dress, no matter how she cover her body and look decent, she will always appear half naked in the eyes of the people. And this shall bring disgrace to your throne. Your reign shall be remembered as a disgraceful one, and so shall it be.
The king did not take it serious. He thought the curse were the stuff of fairy tales. He brushed off the woman's curse as nothing more than the ramblings of a mad woman. But little did he realize the gravity of his mistake, for the seed of the curse had been planted deep within the fabric of faith, destined to take root and flourish in the soil of his daughter's destiny. As the years passed, and the princess grew into womanhood, the beggar's curse would manifest in ways beyond imagining, casting a shadow over the kingdom and bringing disgrace upon the throne. But King Onochie's confidence was unshaken by the words of a common beggar. As the curse began to have effect on the princess, despite the finest garments and elegant attire, the princess always seemed to appear half naked in the eyes of others. No matter how modestly she dressed or how carefully she covered her body, the curse lingered, casting a shadow of disgrace over her every step. whenever she walked the streets of the kingdom. Dressed decent, in beautiful outfits, people always look at her with condemnation, because all they were seeing was a half-naked princess instead of a well-dressed princess. The whispers and the stares of the people followed her like a dark cloud, though she wanted to be seen for the person she truly was.
I never wished for this. I only wanted to be seen as I truly am, not as some distorted reflection of myself.
One day, as the prince from a distant land arrived to seek her hand in marriage, the kingdom buzzed with anticipation and excitement. The princess adorned herself in the finest garments, her heart aflutter with hopes and dreams of a future filled with love and happiness. But as she stepped forth to greet her suitor, her joy turned to sorrow as she saw the disappointment on his face. Despite her elegant attire and modest appearance, the prince's eyes betrayed him. He saw only the distorted illusion cast by the curse. With a heavy heart, the prince turned to King Onochie with anger and accusation. "Your Majesty, I had hopes to find a princess befitting of my station, but instead I am greeted by one who dresses half naked. How can I entrust my future to one who lacks the grace and dignity befitting a royal?" King Onochie's heart sank as he listened to the prince's words. How could he convince the prince of the truth when even his own eyes betrayed him? With a heavy sigh, King Onochie sought to explain the situation to the prince, recounting the curse that had befallen his daughter and the injustice she faced. But the prince, blinded by his own perceptions, remained unmoved, refused to believe the king. And so, with a heavy heart and tears in her eyes, the princess watched as the prince departed, her dreams of love and happiness shattered by the cruel hand of fate. Alone and heartbroken, she wept for the future that might have been, mourning the love she had hoped to find but never could. Yet, amidst the pain and sorrow, Princess found solace in the unwavering love of her father. She confided in her father, King Onochie. He whispered words of comfort and reassurance. He said, "My dear princess, you are more than the sum of others' perceptions. Though the world may see you through a veil of misunderstanding, know that I see you for the beautiful, dignified woman you are." Princess found strength in her father's unwavering love and the knowledge that she was not alone in her struggle. Despite her father being the reason for her cursed existence, despite being condemned to live under the weight of her father's transgression, it could never diminish the love that bound her to her father, or the resilience that bright within her soul. The king became desperate to break the curse and spare his beloved daughter from a life of ridicule. He went in search of the beggar, hoping to plead for her mercy and forgiveness. But the beggar was nowhere to be found. He gathered the people of Amoje and addressed them. He said,
"My fellow citizens, it has come to my attention that there are those among us who have cast judgment upon my beloved daughter, Princess. But I stand before you today to dispel the falsehoods and misconceptions that have clouded your perception. For Princess is not guilty of immodesty, but rather a victim of a curse beyond her control."
He narrated his encounter with the old beggar woman and also pleaded with his people to go in search of the beggar. As days turned into weeks, some youth came back with information that the beggar was dead and buried years ago. The king was disappointed. He also urged them to go in search of her grave. They searched for days, but all to no avail. A young boy approached the king and said, "I know where the beggar lies." The young boy directed the king to the beggar's final resting place. The king was grateful. He set out on a journey with his daughter and some cabinet chiefs to the beggar's resting place. On their arrival, the princess began to cry and went on her knees before the beggar's grave as she begged for forgiveness and freedom from the curse. The cabinet chiefs, they all begged for forgiveness. The king pleaded and said, "Forgive me, dear soul, for the pain and suffering I have caused you. I seek only redemption and the chance to right the wrongs of the past. Forgive me for the sake of my beloved daughter, who is suffering from what she knows nothing about. I am deeply sorry." As they waited in trembling anticipation, a gentle breeze stirred the air, carrying with it the sweet scent of flowers and the promises of forgiveness. With bated breath, they watched as the earth beneath the grave began to shift and tremble, the curse unraveling before their very eyes, like a thread pulled from the fabric of destiny. In a moment of radiant clarity, the curse was broken. Together, they left the graveyard. The king's heart, lightened by the burden of guilt, lifted from his soul. As they returned to the palace, a sense of peace settled over the land. As joyous celebration filled the kingdom of Amoje, King Onochie opened the palace gate to all who wished to partake in the celebration. The air was alive with music and laughter. The streets teeming with jubilant crowd as they gathered to commemorate Princess' freedom from the curse that had plagued her for so long. Amidst the festivities, word of the princess's newfound liberation reached the ears of the prince who had once rejected her. With a heart heavy with regret and longing for reconciliation, he made his way to the palace. determined to seek forgiveness and mend the rift that had torn them apart. As Princess emerged, resplendent in her regal attire and radiant with newfound joy, the prince fell to his knees before her, his eyes brimming with remorse and humility. He said, "Forgive me, dear princess, for the blindness of my judgment and the cruelty of my words. I see now the error of my action and the beauty that has always resided within your soul." Touched by his sincerity and moved by the depth of his repentance, her heart overflowing with compassion and grace, she said, "I forgive you, my dear prince." She whispered, her voice filled with warmth and understanding. She continued, "Let us leave the past behind us and embrace the promise of a future filled with love and harmony." And so, amidst the cheers, their joyful subjects, and the blessings of King Onochie, the prince and princess were joined together in marriage. Their union, a testament to the transformative power of forgiveness and the enduring strength of love. Together, they embarked on a new chapter of their lives.